No doubt.
Yeah, thanks.
Live in 5, 4, 3.
Back to 197.
Peace and power, back live with Readyo Radio. This will be our last segment of the day. And this is, like I said, episode 38. We want to jump right back into discussion about Malcolm X and the future. Go, Joe.
So, as we look at solutions, I really feel like it's important with anything. I mean, we've been an engineer. This is how we do things. We look at multiple scenarios and try to pick the best scenario that's going to lead to result oriented. If I'm going to seek the results you want, and so one thing we have to look at today is what happens if we continue on the trajectory we're on, where we had again a leader, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King's. There's very many other leaders who went unnamed even, to where we are today, where we have the Umar Johnsons, the Dr. Sebis, and the like, who are also fighting for our rights and trying to bind us together. But yet, in my opinion, we are further integrated with each other than we were back when Malcolm X and Martin Luther King walked our planet. And so I like looking to see what happens, 5 years, 10 years out, if we continue to go on Facebook and just argue with each other and keep saying, oh, the white man did it, the white man did it. What happens to me, in my perspective, what happens is we continue to be attacked even further. We have right now chemtrails, and in the future, perhaps they start putting other things in it. Maybe they learn more about genetics and try to find things that specifically attack melanin only, and they start spraying that over Atlanta, start spraying that over certain, Houston, Texas, and different areas.
Sure they haven't already done that in Philadelphia?
Hey. So the point being, again, is that history will repeat itself. History will repeat itself, but it will get worse and worse, because that's how the spirit world works. If you bump your head, the spirit world next time may bust your head open, and then after that it may kill you. So that it's trying to teach you a lesson. And so if we don't do anything, what's happening is going to progressively get worse and worse. Alternatively, I believe to prevent that and create a harmonizing reality for us to live into, is to just continue to do whatever it takes. I believe that we should all, at the very least, create some small business. Even I just did the paperwork myself with $50, and now I have a tax number where I can, even if I don't do a lot with my company, at least I can write my cell phone bill off. I can write a portion of my house off on my taxes. We have to learn the rules that they play by and that they use to get ahead, and we have to use it. Just like the brother said when he was looking at the dictionary, he said you gotta use whatever they give you against them. And this is our solution. And if we have to be willing again to do whatever it takes, if we get to the point where we realize this shit, the ship is getting ready to sink, you got to get your stuff together. Either get you a piece of land, get you some whatever you feel in your heart for you to do. Some people may need to leave and go back to Africa, go to Costa Rica, wherever. You may need to get up and leave. And so you got to understand there's two specific paths you can walk on. One is a path that leads absolutely nowhere to what you've already seen, and another path that leads somewhere new and different. And you have to make that choice for what you want.
That was good.
Yeah.
It's hard to follow that, but yeah, my thing is that it's crazy how how you mention all of those quotes, and how the media takes a person who's the victim and makes them out to be bad, or show something in their past to make them look like they're worse than they really are. So they might use a mugshot or some type of show the criminal record. But it's like, in America, if you're a person of color, just about anything you do can land you in jail. Martin Luther King went to jail over 30 times. So it's like they show his criminal record on TV. Oh, he's a criminal. But, I mean, look at what he was doing, though. And that's the thing. And it just goes to show that was 50 years ago, and the same stuff is happening now 50 years later. So it's like, I fear that 50 years from now we'll still be fighting the same battles. And the thing is, what do we do now to where our children don't inherit the same battles that we have now? And in my opinion, the only thing they respect is loss of life or loss of resources. And that's the thing. So however you frame that, and whatever the outcomes of those two things, I mean, it could be good or bad. Like, for example, loss of resources. If you leave, now they don't have your tax money. They don't have your labor. They don't have, your insurance fees. They don't have your, your license plate. I mean, the tags that you got to pay for every year. That's leaving here is a loss of resource to them. So if we mass exodus and leave, which I think we should have done a long time ago, they'll say, hey, we're losing resources. What can we do to change things? Now the loss of life is different. I mean, that can go any way too. But to me, that's the only real solutions is we band together and come up with a strategy to the safest way is to make them lose resources somehow. So whether that be boycotting, whether that be mass exodus, whether that be only shopping with ourselves. Like we said earlier, we didn't say it on air, but off air, Dr. Claude Anderson, which is a master economist, said that we know our spending power is $1 trillion. So if we spend 30% of that with only black businesses, the majority of us would be millionaires because we all would keep recirculating the same money. So like if you are a chip maker and I sell nachos and cheese, I go to get the chips from you, I get the cheese from you, and then I sell to whoever. That's money that's recirculating back into our community. So like we are the only people who only spend our money elsewhere and we don't put our money back into the community. So everybody else owns stores in our community, then we go pay them, and then they take the money and go spend it outside of the community. So the community never sees that money. So that's the thing. We just need unity, and we need loss of resources for them.
Wow. It's hard to follow those two powerful statements. So I will just veggie back off of something both of you all said, and start with a quote from Malcolm X himself. The future belongs to those who prepare today. And that's something that will never change. It will never change. And one of the greatest examples is definitely what Kojo said, starting your own business, finding something. Like for me, I have jewelry, do business consulting, do marketing. Everybody has something that they do. Start a business doing that. Play. I mean, if you're gonna be here, it's a game, and your life is literally on the line. Like this is like you are the piece on Monopoly. You have to figure out, or whatever other game that you want to symbolize. My point is that it's a game, and the game is for keeps, and you have to know how to play the game if you're going to be here. And here, as we see, America has expanded globally. Is everywhere. So wherever you are, you're going to know how to play. You're going to have to know how to play the game. And the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Which is a great quote from Malcolm X. So as it relates to having your own business, knowing how that where instead of using yourself, using your business protects you in many different ways. We don't have time to go into all of this, but you can look up entrepreneurship and the benefits of doing an LLC or doing these different types of protecting your wealth, as well as something else that Info Keith said about loss of life, preparing to defend your life against all odds. Are you prepared? People fearmonger about owning guns and all these other things, but even if you only look at a gun as an investment, however you have to frame it in your mind to value your life, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. I keep saying that. So whether and I'm not saying it has to be the cops. It doesn't have to be anything. It could just be wrong place, wrong time, burglary. You know, I'm not wishing that on anybody, but I'd much rather be prepared for said event than not be prepared. And then I'll end it on kind of bringing the future to the present. Finding events, finding activities that allow you to talk to your youth, educate yourself and your family about the various ancestors that have come here with. None of this is new. You know, if you're looking for how to build wealth in the community, you need to study Marcus Garvey, study Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson is still alive today. Marcus Garvey, you know, is long gone. You can study, you know, all of these ancestors that are here, and they left their work, their body of work that you can study. And I just want to shout out this one event, African Liberation Day in Detroit. And this is an opportunity to give homage to Dr. John Henry Clark, Charity Hicks, mother of the water rights movement in Detroit and internationally, Samara Smith, Kiba Brown, Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan. And so these are honoring our ancestors and bringing their works to present day and analyzing what relevance their work has to today. It's one of the greatest tools that we have is our culture, our legacy that's left for us. And that's going back to that foundation. And so I think those are the things that I would share. You know, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today.
Yeah, I just want to make a small thing. One example I always like to give, we playing chess, not checkers. And in chess, when you strategize, you figure out what you're going to do. And you think about how my opponent react. But you don't, your whole strategy isn't based off of what is my opponent currently doing and planning. And that's what happens to my mind when we always say, oh, the white man, the white man, the white man. It's like, I'm not going to make any moves until I see what he's going to do. But you have to start doing something to force them to respond to you. And again, we have to do something different because what we're doing, they're not responding.
And so the last thing I want to say to close out, the last thing I want to say before we close out is that on that entrepreneurship tip and on that media tip, and shouting out to T-Folk, shout out T-Folk, Foundation of a King, tfolk.com. We will be this Saturday. We will be at the African Bambaataa after party here in Detroit, supporting Readyo Radio and supporting Mindful Bee jewelry and MCing, and also T-Folk with their music, their T-shirts. And you know, this is how we're actually modeling the behavior, and that's the greatest thing that you can really do. If you once you study, just like he was doing in that clip, reading the dictionary and studying application. Model the behavior that you want to see in the community unapologetically.
Yeah, and that's what I think we lack. I mean, so many people are book scholars. You know, it's good to learn all of history and the knowledge and to read every book, but at some point you got to go past just debating, because debating is not getting us anywhere. It's like, you know, you're debating these things that happened 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. Like, oh, Jesus was black. Oh, Jesus didn't exist. You know, this kind of stuff is like, all right, none of us was there. So, I mean, who really cares? Like, you know, what are we building towards the future? Like, we know about the past. I mean, it's good to have intellectual debates, and I would rather people debate on that kind of stuff than, you know, who's the best basketball player or, you know, this game or that game. But it's like, still, we got to move past the feminine arguments and let's get towards the masculine building.
And the last thing, I want to drop 2 gems as far as the past and the present. Look up the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, started by the Honorable Marcus Garvey, their plan, and then it's bringing it up to currently in present day. Look up the Jackson Kush Plan, KUSH, and those are 2 economic plans for uplifting and creating cooperative economics in our community. One from Honorable Marcus Garvey years and years ago, and one that's current and up to date as it relates to the state of affairs that we're in. And so, dropping jewels on you every week. This is episode 38. paying homage to the ancestors. We say Ashe, and to all the ancestors that have passed, and we know that they're with us. And we'll see you next week with more information on Readyo Radio on UrbanNationRadio.com. Peace and power. You know what the